I've read so many Fed statements, and I have an econ degree and went to school for a long time, and we actually research those stuff, so it is definitely not normal. Actually, if you go back in history and look at rate cutting cycles, the mortgage rate has gone up one other time, but it was for a very short window of time, about 90 days, maybe 120 days. This is the largest move on record and the longest duration, and it's likely not getting better anytime soon. So yeah, it's very cool. So I want to do a couple of quick things before we bring in the closer. The closer is somebody that I have told you 100 times is on my Mount Rushmore of investors. And today we're going to break down why he earned that title. So that's going to be our closing presentation. Simon, you forgot something. That's Simon's baby. There you go. So you're going to get a chance to hear his entire story, dig in, ask him some questions. Anytime I bring somebody of this caliber, my hope is that line gets long so you have the chance. But two things I want to do before we get started. One, remember my disappointment from this morning. Pick up your shit. I don't want to stay here for 2 hours because you all are too lazy to throw stuff away. So, you got me? Yeah. Not doing that. I love it. Second, one of the things I did personally after last event, right, last year, is I sat back and I tried to figure out how we could do more of this, right? What I see going on last year, and again, thankfully this year, is the community networking amongst yourself. That's why you had 6 hours of networking minimum, and I know many of you have had more. That feeling I couldn't foster with what I was already doing, right? YouTube, Facebook, private Facebook group, all of that stuff, because it didn't allow me to kind of watch and then communicate with everyone. That is why school. This is why I have school. Now we're up to 360 folks in there, and I believe the people that raised their hands would tell you, being inside school for 67 pennies a day to stay in this mood longer, that's why it's there. I throw thousands of dollars in education at level 2 and level 3 just so you can tell yourself you got an ROI, right? So I'm trying to get your heart, but your brain's got to say yes to spending 20 bucks, so I give you thousands of bucks. So that's why school is there. That was why I did school. That's why I did something else, because I'm trying to keep the goodness of this community together. And then also, I am fostering folks, like many of the people that won belts, they're taking ownership of accountability groups and master. I never show up. And I will never be there. They're in the evenings. You kidding me? I'm not showing up in the evenings. That's my time, right? I give you 8 to 11. Everything after that's Olivia and me. I'm out, right? So again, if you like what you have here, you've thought about school, 20 bucks a month, it's crazy low, join it, you'll get more of this. And if you don't like it, stop. It's only a monthly fee. So that is my one thing to talk about. So who are we bringing up? I'm guessing most of you can guess. Anybody know who's coming? Jason Pritchard! I never did that before. Oh, shit, I forgot to talk to Brandon. For you, sir. I forgot to do something for Brandon. I'll do that later. So Jason, we're going to do something a little different, right? You speak all the time. You give all these presentations. What I want to do here, if we can, is break down why I've put you on the Mount Rushmore of real estate investors. And I'm just going to go through the highlights, which is impressive to me, and I'm probably missing things. So let me just tell you things that I remember about Jason and Jen. We got to remember they are a dynamic duo, so let's not forget Jen in this story. You quit your job, burned the boat. Yep. You had full commitment of your wife. She was fully on board. You struggled that first year. You got a kick in the pants. You made it happen. You went on to flip lots of properties. You ultimately got to a point where you held a portfolio of rentals of 100 units or thereabouts. You have taken on a project on 17 Mile Drive. Anybody know 17 Mile Drive in Carmel? You ever drive by those houses and go, who are those rich mother? He flipped one of those, or at least was in process of, playing in that game, so he did that. He's gone out and now is working on a land deal that could net 8 figures. Oh, by the way, he just bought like a 25,000 square foot warehouse, just because, you can. And he's borrowed millions and millions, or raised millions and millions of dollars in private money. And I'm sure I am missing things. Oh yeah, he's got rentals out of state, and he's got all of these things. So what did I miss, if you want to throw anything in there? But I just got to ask, how?
I'll start with what you missed, and I want to add a primer to all of this because I think it's really important that everybody here understands that 10, 11 years ago, I started just like everybody here that's in this room. I was literally the guy all the way in the back. I would come to these meetings. I would be too nervous to interact and connect and talk to people, all the things that we encourage you guys to do. And I had a very big, it wasn't as big as it is now. It felt really big at that time, but goals and ambitions to want to just not be living the normal life that I had been kind of stuck in for 15 years. And so that's where I started. I started in rooms like this, guys. And I know that lots of you don't have the vision maybe to recreate Jason's business and do this stuff, but the reason why Zuber and I come out and we try to provide as much value and give as freely as we do is because we want all of you guys to have some of these experiences that we've had. Life really felt like it started for me about 10 years ago. I think the vision that we all have for the life that we want to live was unlocked. The vehicle was the real estate. Real estate was the vehicle that unlocked it for me. So I just want you guys to know that there's nothing different about me. There is nothing different about me. I'm the exact same as anybody here, and I really, truly believe that any of you guys here can do and accomplish any of the things that I've accomplished. So that's, I think, what you missed. Let's start there as the prerequisite. And then as far as what do you want to go from, like how we started launching on big, okay, so.
You and I can riff.
Yeah, so the foundation to everything that we're doing now, and we'll get into some of the big deals and I'll answer any questions that we've been doing about that, the foundational stuff that is required in order to level up and do some of these bigger opportunities are the day-to-day things that all of us are doing now, I think, in this room. All the rules that you see here, doing the work, being consistent, having a long-term 5 to 10 year vision, all of those things are the foundation that all of this is built on. So I think we can start there. It's like the building blocks to anything bigger beyond that starts with doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that you're on the Mount Rushmore of real estate investors with me is again, kind of to that point, lots of people have big dreams. Lots of people on social media flex and they show these big things. But when I break down Jason Pritchard and I try to get to what makes you unique and put you on that pedestal of the four greats, is frankly, you've never overcomplicated it.
Yep.
You've always been about, real estate might be an A to Z thing, but my job is to go from A to B and then B to C. That's where a lot of people, frankly, fall down.
I heard this quote recently, and I've been repeating it a lot, and it really resonates with me, and this is something that is been one of the keys to my success. The quote was, "The path illuminates as you walk it." And I think lots of us come to events like this, or we get stuck in the cycle of wanting to know everything before we start, and we feel like we have to have A to Z figured out. And my firsthand experience, along with all of the highly successful people that I've had, it was never like that with them. They did the first step, and they figured that out, and then they did the next step after that, and then they did the next step after that. So if you have found yourself stuck in analysis paralysis stage, right, and you can't launch, just do the very next thing that you have to do. And when we get into some of these bigger deals, that framework is the same exact framework that I did on this $26 million land deal that we're doing, right? It was just, let's just do the next thing, because I couldn't tell you the first thing about developing land, because 6 months ago, I had never even started underwriting deals like that, right? And so going back to what we were just saying, it's the very first house I flipped, what was the very first thing that I needed to do? I needed to find a motivated seller, and I needed to do the work to understand how we understand and solve the problems that they have, provide a solution, buy that house. I didn't know anything about contracting. I didn't know about anything about raising money, and I just figured all that stuff out as we went, right? So one of the key takeaways is don't overcomplicate things and just trust that the path will illuminate as you walk it. And if you just have faith in that, you will start to build this self-confidence. And that's why I think I've been able to not be afraid to take swings at these really big opportunities, because I have a 10-year track record for myself of calling my shot and then making it happen. So now I've just programmed myself to believe that if I tell myself I'm going to do something, it's going to happen. But at the beginning, you've got to build that muscle. Does that make sense to everybody? We're not conditioned a lot of times to believe in that. And frankly, most of us are programmed not to believe that we can do anything that we want to do because of how we grew up or our parents or our school systems or whatever, right? And so we're programmed to think smaller. We're programmed not to dream big. And so you've got to start by, like for me, flipping my first house felt like some big insurmountable goal at the beginning, and now we do that all the time, right? And so you build and flex that muscle first on some of these smaller things, and over time, organically, it will naturally progress into some of the bigger opportunities.
Yeah, the other thing I think is a superpower of yours is, again, you're in a relationship that's really a two-way street. And you really get a feeling for that in my second book, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Investors. Because, again, that book was written when your journey was probably half of where it is today, right? It was very much about the front end. Let's burn the boat. Let's rack up the credit card debt. Let's create this reserve. And, honey, you got 12 months or 6 months to figure it out and kick you in the ass. So talk about the importance of having Jen on your side and your support and the kick in the pants.
So I think we've all heard the biggest and most important decision that you're going to make is the partner or the spouse that you pick, right? So I hope that all of us know and understand how critical that is. And what I'll share with you now is I just got very lucky, frankly, right, to have picked Jennifer, and she was there. She believed in me. I've told that story. We told that story last year. I'll share with you what I'm going through now, because the work on the marriage is also something that always is constant, and it's a muscle that you have to flex, right? There is no ending point where you get to a space in your marriage where you figure it out and then you just coast. At least that 18 years of us being together, 12 years being married, we never just found this place where it was just this perfect harmony and unison. And there's always work that has to happen. So I'll just share my individual perspective and what I'm really working on right now. For those of you guys that were here when Fred came up and presented, we have become very successful, and I don't need to work, right? I don't need to do the stuff with my business. I could downshift and not work as hard. I would not be happy if I did that, right? And I think Jennifer knows and understands me enough to know that for me to really be truly fulfilled, I have to go do these things. I'm a racehorse in a certain extent, and she's got to let me go run my race. But I want to be a better version of Jason for her. And so the work that I'm doing on right now is just knowing and understanding that, all this shit that we have, the house and all of this, it's just stuff. And I used to, a lot of times when we would get into arguments, I would hold that up and be like, well, I did all of this. You know what I mean? So that makes up for these shortcomings that I have. You know what I'm saying? And now I need to understand, instead of trying to say like, well, I did all of this, I can also speak kindly to you, and I can also be more patient, and I can also be more gracious, and I can also do these other things. And I think that type of stuff is what I'm really working on right now. So being driven and being successful is just one piece of a bigger picture. And it's just a lot. It's a lot of fucking work, guys. It's just a lot, and you have to sign up for it. And it's just you have to know when you're making this commitment, and you really want to it's just this never-ending cycle of stuff. And it isn't just business, because the people that care about you most, they honestly, at least the dynamic with Jennifer and I's relationship, she doesn't care about real estate the way that I care about it, right? She doesn't love it the way that I love it, and so you can't make that vision her vision, right? Don't try to force your vision of what you want the business to be and make that all-encompassing for the other person in her life, because that person probably has other things that you want to do, and I'm trying to be more open to understanding of what those things are, because now we actually have some time freedom, and we actually have it's unlocked all these other cool things that we can do, and now we can spend some time really working on ourselves and getting us to a better place. So that's what I'm working on right now with us in my personal life.
First off, don't you just love the vulnerability? Pretty good guy, this guy. So I want to give the audience a taste. You can either talk about the warehouse deal or the land deal, but the question is, give them a taste of what it means by not going from A to Z, going A to B. So break down something that you've never done before, buy a big warehouse, buy the land deal, whichever one you want, but give them a sample of, you've never done something, but these are the steps that you went through and you were comfortable one by one.
So I'll talk about the land deal, because it's really cool, and I think it's something that, I know it's something that's going to be a life-changing opportunity. I'll give you some context about the deal. I'll give you guys some numbers. I'll talk about the exit strategy and then talk about how we got to the point where we're able to pull the trigger on it. So in July, I'm going to give you the whole story, so just bear with me, okay? In July, I was literally in the midst of getting a haircut, and I was sitting in my barber's chair, and this broker that I know started calling me, and I looked at the phone call, and do you ever get that feeling? And you know, it's either God or the universe or whatever you believe in. You just get a little nudge that it's like, man, I didn't want to pick up that call. I was not going to pick up the call. It's something said, you should just answer this phone call, dude. And so while I'm getting my hair cut and everything's going off in my ear, I get a call from this broker that I know. And he's like, hey, dude. He goes, I know that land deals and development deals are not really your forte. He goes, I'm representing another investor who is in contract to buy a 78-acre piece of land in Bakersfield. This is a really amazing deal. He had a couple other deals that he thought were going to close. He was going to use that money to close on this. That is not happening now. And he has a very short window to perform, or the deal's going to fall out. Are you interested in talking to him? And one of the things that I've been really focused on the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, is not getting distracted in my main business and making the main thing, right? And I think lots of us that are visionaries and entrepreneurs, we get shiny object syndrome very quickly. And we're like, oh, what's this and what's that? And let me go try this and let me go be. And I have fallen down the same thing. I have Airbnbs and I have out-of-state rentals and I have in-state rentals and I have all these things. And so, you know, I'm guilty of all of that. And as I have become more focused on my main business has performed better. Who would have thought that would work out like that, right? So I have to say no to more things. And when we are so public facing and we come to that, lots of opportunities come to us, right? And so something, and I'm going to get back to that intuition and that sixth sense, and I want to talk about that specifically, but something said, pick up that phone. And he said, hey, get on a call with this guy. So as I'm driving home from my haircut, I get on the call with this guy. His name is Alan. Never met this guy before, didn't know him, never heard of him before. And he laid out in an hour-and-a-half conversation. And it only takes me 20 minutes to get home. In a 90-minute conversation, I pull up and I'm sitting in front of my house for an hour. And we're just on the Bluetooth in my car. And he's giving me every single aspect of this deal. And I first went into that conversation very skeptical. I was like, why am I the lucky guy getting this call, right? Like, why me, bro? Like, we don't even know each other. Why am I all of a sudden getting the deal of a lifetime here, right? And so my thought process from due diligence when we're given these really big opportunities is step one, poke as many holes as you can in it, right? And find out every reason you can not to do it, right? And every question that I asked this guy, he had a well thought out answer. And sometimes people present you these quote unquote once in a lifetime opportunities and you can tell very quickly that the person has not done any of their own due diligence, right? And you can just tell very quickly that this is not something that we need to spend time or effort on. And Alan did not strike me like that at all. So my thought process with all of these big deals, the framework is 1, let's poke as many holes as we can into it. 2, what's the risk-reward analysis right now? And it's really just a function of time because all I needed to do is spend a little bit of time to do the very next step of due diligence, which was get on a meeting with him and have him basically take what we had in that 90-minute conversation and lay it all out to me in a Zoom, which we did, and it looked even better. Then the next step for us was go to the actual site, meet the engineering company and the other people that were going to be involved, and put some eyes on it. And after that, after talking to everybody, doing some independent research, reaching out to people in my network, the handful of people that had experience with this, we basically made the decision that this was something that we were going to do. And so before you get to this fork in the road where now money is on the line, right? So now it's starting to get more serious. Before it's just time, now we actually have capital that we're going to put up, or in our case, other investors' capital. You have to understand what the full downside risk is. Like, what's the worst case scenario here? And you have to be okay with the worst case scenario. So worst case scenario for me was I borrowed money from my investors. We paid $1,025,000 for this 78-acre piece of land in Bakersfield. The worst case scenario for me is I'd have to sell 7 or 8 of my rentals to free up enough cash just to pay my guys off. Even though there's no reality where the land is worth 0, like let's just say it went to 0. right? I'd have to just come up with that money to pay my guys back. And if I was okay with that, then I'm okay with the upside, okay? So here's what the upside is, right? I was okay with the downside, and within 3 weeks, we closed on this, right? From phone call in the barber's chair to like, we own 78 acres of land, 3 weeks. That's the amount of time we had to make this decision. So here's the upside. We paid $1,025,000 for 78 acres, okay? We hired an engineering company, and we've invested about $50,000 into the engineering and all the city fees. The very first thing that we did was we took the 78-acre parcel, and we split it into a 13-acre parcel that was already zoned for multifamily and a 65-acre parcel that's zoned residential, okay? Part of the 50 grand that we've spent with the engineering company is we hired them to create a map, and then they also created 243 single-family lots on the 65-acre portion that we paid $1,025,000 for in July. We're in contract now to sell all 243 lots to a national home builder for $26.1 million. Wow is right, yeah, dude. So the contract states that they want finished lots, so it's going to cost us about conservatively $10 million to finish the lot. So what does finishing lot means? It means right now it's just bare dirt. We've got to grade all the dirt. We've got to do all the underground infrastructure, all the utilities, the power, the water, the sewer. We've got to put in streets, roads, curbs, gutters. It's going to cost us about $10 million to do all of that. So we're going to be all in for $11 million and some change, including the land acquisitions cost. And we'll have in 4 years, when we get to the, I'll break down how we're gonna actually put the infrastructure in, because that's something that I don't know anything about either, right? We'll have about a $12 million profit when it's all said and done, and 13 acres of multifamily that's zoned to build about 300 apartments on. So the plan is to take the money from the lots and then invest into building of the apartments, right? So that's what we're working on now, okay? I don't know if you have any questions about that. So the first thing that I'll tell you is 6 months ago, I couldn't have told you the first thing about it. I literally couldn't tell you step one. I wouldn't know what starts first or who goes in. I don't know who to do. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And it was the same exact feeling that I had when I didn't know how to flip a house. But do you know what I had now versus not then? It's that confidence, that self-belief that I can do it, because like I said, I've been calling my shot for 10 years. And every time I say even though I don't know what I'm doing, I know that I'm smart enough to figure it out, right? And that's what we don't understand, guys, is most of us are replaying a tape in our head, and the story is negative, and it keeps us stuck in the place that we're at. And what's even sadder is that story isn't even our own belief system. It's somebody else's belief system that they just programmed into us, and it was probably somebody that programmed into them. And I spend so much more time focusing on that internal work than I do, like, how do I underwrite a real estate deal? Does that make sense, right? Like, if I just show up every day to the office, I'm gonna get plenty of practice underwriting real estate. It's all of the work that's going on here, because regardless of, we basically just give away all of the stuff for free, guys. So there is no secret. Do you know what I'm saying? You know how I know? Because I learned this business by listening to podcasts and watching YouTube in 2014. And it's even easier to access the information now. So there's no proprietary information. The problem is what's going on in here. And most of us, myself included, had self-worth issues. We didn't believe in ourselves. We didn't have our confidence to do all of this stuff. And you are talking about reprogramming these limiting belief systems that have been ingrained in us for years or decades in some cases. And so you can't say affirmations for 30 days in the mirror and all of a sudden imagine that your life is going to be completely different. It doesn't work like that either. And so you've got to spend as much intentional time and effort and energy working on this as you do on your business. And that's why I loved Fred's presentation so much, because it was really, that's the stuff that really allowed me to do some of these things, man. So, I know I said a lot there, so it's a lot to go.
Well, it's hard to be on Mount Rushmore. You got a lot to put out there, so it's all good. No. So one of the other things I think that's really important about you is, again, you do give everything away, right? Yeah. So again, hit your website real quick, because again, I still can't believe you give all that away.
Yeah, just Jason Pritchard. Everything that we do, it's all available for free on there. So whatever you guys need, it's all there for free. You just go to jasonpritchard.com and you can download that, and then you can reach out to me, and then we're happy to help with it.
So one of the questions I had from earlier today was about leads. How are you generating leads? Give a feel of marketing costs. Somebody's like, how do guys like Jason do it?
I get some variation of this question all the time. Jason, if you were starting all over again, what would you do differently if you know everything that you know now? And I think the answer, or the missing ingredient for most people that are lacking consistency in their real estate business, is they're lacking consistency in their deal flow. And they are just not doing the things that create consistency in deals every single day. So what are we doing right now to generate leads? We spend about $45,000 a month on marketing in our business, and most of that is spent on direct mail. That's our #1 marketing channel. We made about $800,000, I think, last year from direct mail. Referrals was #2 for us. We made about $500,000 from referrals. So referrals, or our network, is agents, brokers, investors, wholesalers, family, friends, people, because we do all of this public-facing stuff that send things to us. #3 for us last year was cold calling. So we're still doing outbound outreach to sellers, which is still working. And then it's a variation of pay-per-click, Google pay-per-click ads, driving organic traffic via SEO to our site. With lead generation, guy, there's inbound and outbound. And so what you need to remember is, with outbound, right, cold outreach, that's usually what people start with at the beginning, because it's more cost effective. Right? It doesn't cost as much money to pick up the phone and call sellers as it does to send out 30,000 pieces of mail every month. But you have to understand that the quality of the lead is not going to be as high. And when the quality of the lead is not as high, it's going to take much longer to convert those opportunities. So a cold call lead, from the very first conversation to the time that they actually sign their agreement, on average across the country, is going to take 8 or 9 months. From call one, the very first time that they answer the phone, to the time that they sign an agreement with you to sell the house. Direct mail, which is inbound, is about 60 to 90 days on average, right? So we have, if you zoom out on a 12-month timeline, we pay for a lot of inbound to get leads that are coming in on that 30, 60, 90 day, and then we do outbound stuff to fill out the rest of the year, right? And so the missing ingredient for most people, one, is they're not actively doing it. So if you're in a space where your business is inconsistent right now, it's probably because you're not actively going out and pursuing these opportunities. Or if you are, you're reliant too much on other people, or you're reliant on like easy, low-hanging fruit, like stuff that's listed on MLS, guys. Like just going on and looking on MLS, that's something that is an exercise that you can do in 20 or 30 minutes every day. So what are you doing with the rest of your day? You know what I mean? Like, you can go on and very quickly set it up where, you can get those deals sent to you, but are you actively going out and doing it? And what I'll tell you is, like, lead generation and creating consistent deal flow in your business, it's the cost of admission for all the other cool shit that you want. All the other outcomes that you're seeing, the flipping all these houses, owning all these rentals, doing all of this stuff at a faster scale. That's the one difference, I think, between, the way that I did it and maybe Zuber's approach, right? Is, we bought Rental 1 in 2016. We bought Rental 50 in 2019, and we're at 100 doors within 4 years. And I started with nothing in 2015, guys. So doing that allows much more scale to grow at scale, if that's what I'm saying. But you have to understand that generating leads, all the work that nobody likes to do, like dealing with rejection, having to follow up, talking to sellers that maybe give you the runaround or they ghost you, that's the price of admission that you're gonna have to pay, guys. And you have to be okay with that, right? You are signing up to be in a pressure cooker. This business is very much a pressure cooker, and it will test you. And you have to be okay with the cost of that at the beginning, because all the stuff on the other end is amazing and it's 100% worth the price of entry, my personal opinion, right? But it's going to require, especially if you are like me, I think most of us are W-2. How many people are W-2 or work parts or used to be W-2? The vast majority of people here. The hardest part of the transition at the beginning is not getting paid for your time. And we've been so conditioned to getting paid for our time that when we're out kind of like flying with no safety net and we're operating and it's just commission-based, eat what you kill, performance-based type results, that is hard at the beginning to do that. And you've got to have some financial discipline. You've got to have some capital reserves. You got to do some things in order to build that up the right way. But lead gen guys, I talk to so many people and the struggles that they're having in their business will be resolved by more consistent incoming leads, which leads to more consistent deal flow. Everything else will solve itself after that. If you guys, are you gonna take anything away? I think if you can focus on that, if you're struggling in your business and you just look at more opportunities on a regular basis, everything else will take care of itself.
All right, let's switch gears to talk about the magic unlock of private money.
Yeah.
Right, talk about the first time you got it, the systems you're in place, what you do now to have nearly unlimited private money.
The way that private money worked for me, first coming to events like this, I had to get outside of my comfort zone. I'm naturally an introverted person, but I had to be okay with just putting myself out there. I'm a big believer in manifestation, and you cannot manifest outcomes in your life until you have the courage to ask for those outcomes, right? And I think that's the signal that you send that says that I really truly have faith because I'm okay for asking for these things. And I had a hard time asking for stuff, and that was another block that I had, I think, from just the way that I was raised. And my business started to grow pretty quickly, and I needed capital in order to keep up with the pace that my business was going. So I just started coming to events like this, and I had a quick 20 or 30-second elevator pitch, and everybody that I would meet, I would just say, hey, my name's Jason. I'm a fix and flipper or an investor from Fresno. Right now, I've got more deals than we have access to money. So if you know anybody that's interested in potentially working or funding one of our opportunities, I'd like to talk to them, right? And a lot of times, that indirect ask will always lead to, well, I've got some money. How would that work? You know what I'm saying? And so that was kind of a little hack that I did to kind of fool myself into okay for asking, because most people will just volunteer. And then that started to snowball. Social media is also another good thing, right? And so when you share and document your journey appropriately, lots of times people are going to be engaged. So if they see Jason or meet me at one of these events and then they follow me on social media, they see that I'm active in the business. And social media is like your business card now. It's your resume, right? And when you're constantly sharing and showing that you're active doing all these deals, it creates credibility. And so lots of people that fund our deals are people that I've met or were introduced to from social media, and some of them I've never met. I have one, her name is Mrs. Castro. She's out of Southern California. She lends me like $1 million. I've never met Mrs. Castro. She's the nicest woman we have like 20-minute conversations about our kids and all this stuff, and I've literally never met her in person once. And so she's got like $800,000 out with me on 2 or 3 different projects right now. And it was because her son followed me on social media. She lives in SoCal and her son's in Fresno, and her son just said, hey, like, you should talk to my mom. And so that's an example of it, right? And once it snowballs, the best source of private money is your existing network of private money lenders, right? So eventually, if you are doing your job, you're paying everybody off, right? You pay your loan off, you pay them on time and in full. You do that a couple times. Those lenders will eventually be at the office or at a family function, and they'll be talking about, man, I'm doing this deal with Jason, and he's paying me $1,800 a month. Man, that pays my mortgage, or that pays for this or that. And then their coworkers like, who's Jason? How do I get $1,800 a month? You know what I'm saying? And so your private lenders will always bring back friends or family members, and it naturally gets to a space like now. Again, that very first lender leads to the second lender, leads to the pool of lenders that we have. Those people all were people that were funding my fix and flip, single family, quick in and out deals. And who were the people that I messaged and reached out to when I needed to raise $1 million worth of money to buy the 78-acre deal? Everybody that I borrowed money from right now. And because I've got this long track record of paying them off, I'm very transparent and honest with them. And I say, guy, here's the opportunity. I'm going to be the first person to tell you, I've never done a deal like this. So for the sake of full transparency, right, we're partnering with somebody that has experience. Here's our game plan. And here's my commitment to you. Obviously, your money's going to be secured and collateralized against the property, but remember we were talking about downside risk? I'm making this commitment to you guys right now. If this goes completely sideways and the wheels come off, I will do everything in my power to make you whole. But I think this is a good opportunity, and here's what we have. And we had 2 people. Jen was with me. I was literally typing up the email at like midnight. I got home from Bakersfield. I was like, we're doing it. And I put together this really long email. I fired it off at like midnight. And by the time I woke up in the morning, I had 2 people that had already committed, and that was it. And so going back to what we were saying about the building blocks of all of these big opportunities start from the little things that you do at the beginning, and then just time and patience, and then that's how it happens. So
I'm going to give him one more question. I obviously can talk to Jason forever, but you're probably here because you want to ask Jason some questions. So if you're not getting in line, I'm not sure what you're doing. So the final question I want you to go through, Jason. You obviously started this very much as the lone wolf doing your thing. You now have a team. You now have leaders inside your team. You have virtual folks in the Philippines. Just give people a lay of the land of Jason's team or Jason's business, the people.
So our team has 16 total right now, including me and Jen. Those 16 people half of them are virtual assistants based out of the Philippines. The other half are people that are located in our home office in Fresno. Our home office has most of our leadership team members. So we have somebody that helps run director of acquisitions and director of running all the deals. So one of the important things for me was getting out of the acquisition seat and not being the one that had to close all the deals. And that took a lot of time and effort for me because I was really good at doing that. I also kind of am still a little bit of a deal junkie at heart. So I get this charge out of going out, and even now going out and putting deals together, it still charges me up. And I had to hire that out. I have somebody that runs operations. I have somebody that helps me with our education business. And then most of their direct reports are, people that either work virtually or are there. So my vision and my goal as far as the team structure is now I don't really want to grow the core business, if that makes sense. Our core businesses are fixing and flipping and wholesaling business. We did 86 deals last year. Goal for our team is 120 this year. I'd like to stay in that 120 to 150 deals a year, and that's a mix of fix and flip, wholesale, and wholesale. And that type of stuff supplements these larger development deals very well because the development deals have a very long time horizon. We're talking about 4 or 5 years before the payout completely on this, even just this one deal, right? So we need money coming in, going back to the point that I was making earlier, like I can't just do these land development deals and wait 3 or 4 years to get paid. We need stuff right now. And so I want to, in parallel to our core business, which I can hand off to the leadership team, which they can run, and my job is to provide inspiration and build the culture and really drive those things, right? They can run the day-to-day. I really want to focus on doing more of these bigger opportunities because I've always had the vision to do something bigger and more. I get charged up and excited in a way doing this larger deal than I have before, talking about earlier, like I need growth, like I'm very driven for growth. And so I always want to try to do the next thing. And if you don't feel like that, that's okay too. This is not me saying it's just always bigger, bigger, bigger. This is just what works for Jason. Okay, so this is just me sharing what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I could very easily have stopped off at one of these levels and decided this is fine for me too. You know what I'm saying? So all I do is just share authentically because, when I post on social, I come here and I talk about numbers. It's never about like, well, wow, look at this, we're making all this money. It's about, I never thought that this was even possible for somebody like me 10 years ago, right? And so I want to be like, here, I did it. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it right along the way. So then that way you guys can see that somebody just like you that started in this room is doing these things too, because nobody at the beginning was really doing that for me anyways, right? And so I think that's what's really amazing about this community and this type of stuff is just have direct proximity and close access to people that are doing amazing stuff. And then your job is just to model it, right? And take it to wherever you want to take it.
Yeah, hi, Jason.
Hi.
My name's Sean, and I appreciate your energy and your knowledge and everything that you're sharing with everybody. And I hope that someday that maybe in 5-10 years I can be where you're at and sharing my knowledge and helping other people as well.
One day, not someday, Sean. It'll happen, my man.
One
Yeah,
day, one
yep.
day. So I'm from a small town in California called Bakersfield.
There you go. I have 243 houses coming up, man. So if you want one of them, dude, I'll give you first crack.
So I actually happen to work for the local water company. I got some connections. Let me know if you
Yeah,
need
see
anything.
how this works? This is how this works here, guys, right? Like, you come to these things, and I don't believe that this was by accident or was just a coincidence. I don't believe in any of that, right? So I believe that there's a reason why Sean and I were here and put in this room and all of this stuff. It's to make these type of connections. And I don't know exactly how that's all going to play out in the future or what it is, and I don't have any expectation from Sean, but I know that is like, we have all these little signs and signals, I think, sometimes, that the voice in our head, this negative voice, is so loud, it drowns out very obvious signs. Do you guys see how that's a sign? Do you guys believe me that I'm saying that, right? Like, at some point, there will be some need that either I have or a resource or something vice versa, where our two things will overlap. There'll be this synergy, and when you're in this space where you're open to those type of things happening, like, really cool, amazing stuff can happen, man. So sorry about that, Sean. What was your question, man?
Well, honestly, I'm just kind of putting myself out there and letting you know that I am from Bakersfield. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. If you just need connections, information, whatever, I'm here for you. And, I'm not looking for anything from you necessarily. I mean, I'd be happy to, get, networking or however.
Absolutely.
But, anyway.
I have now planned to basically be in Bakersfield at least a couple times a month, minimum, to just oversee all of this stuff. Obviously, this is a huge project. So we'll connect before. We'll exchange numbers, and then I'll definitely have some questions for you. I'm sure, man. And then anything I can do, I'm an open book, dude. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks again, Jason.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Make sure the feedback has gotten me so many times. So just one quick question on the land development, and I'll just kind of keep it a little bit more broad. Do you think that's something that you might want to consider more broadly in terms of, like, maybe possibly a build for rent type of model or something similar?
So as we've gone down, this is a great question. As we've gone down this road, I've done a lot of research into what the market for new construction is like. And I'm going to send you this podcast, and maybe you can make it available as a supplement for people that are interested in doing this more. But I recently listened to this podcast. It was amazing. And so the podcast was an interview of a hedge fund manager that's had a very large stake in D.R. Horton for a number of years, like 20 years. So he has direct access to the CEO and the board and all of these people. And the premise of the podcast was a couple different things. One was how all of these national home builders, D.R., Lennar, have essentially transitioned their business model from land banking, right? Going to the farmer directly, buying the land from the farmer, entitling the land, developing the land, then building the house. They basically moved away from this model and moved towards a model where they wait until the very last second, right? The gold standard for home builders now is finished lots. That's what they want, finished lots. And they wait till the last second to deploy a big chunk of capital, and they've moved from these real estate companies more towards manufacturing companies. And D.R. Horton, in the early 2000s, I think he said they were building 20 to 30,000 houses a year. They're now doing 90,000 houses a year. And because these are all publicly traded companies, it looks better on their balance sheet that they're not carrying this debt for a very long time. Their cost per share, like all of their earnings per share are high. Everything is higher, right? So where's the trend and what's the opportunity for investors like us? And I literally had lunch with the National Home Builders local team that was in charge. I had lunch with them last week, that's in charge of all the home buying in all of Central California, from Modesto to Bakersfield. And what they said was, our corporate office will not let us close on a piece of land unless we can build within 12 months, okay? And so what they need are investors like us that can now become the land bank. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? They need us to go talk to the farmer or find the bare land, do the entitlement work with the city, And you have the option we had the option to either do paper lots, right? So for people that don't know what paper lots is versus a finished lot is what I said earlier, right? Where we basically turn over a lot where all the streets and everything are in, and within 30 days, they're throwing up a house. Paper lot basically means everything is done, all the lots are engineered, and from when they close on the paper lots, they can start grading and turning dirt. That whole process for them, grading, doing the infrastructure, they're usually ready to start building houses within 12 months, but they won't do anything before. So then the podcast goes on to say why in certain markets, and Central California was one of them. I'm from Fresno, and even though it doesn't feel like it, Fresno and the rest of Central California is still affordable for California standards, okay? And so in certain markets like Bakersfield, for example, because of that, because of remote work, because of high costs of living in these other areas, right? There is going to be demand for houses. And we've also been underbuilt for 12, 13 years. After everything crashed in 2008, 9, 10, home builders stopped building, right? And the podcast interview went on to say, if we increased our building capacity by, I think he said 50%, which would never happen. He goes on to say we could never do that because of shortage of labor, shortage of material, red tape, all this stuff. Even if we increased it by 50%, it would take us 20 years to meet the actual appetite from the market, right? So what does that tell me? The builders have changed their entire model, so there is an opportunity for us to go in and become the bridge from the farmer to the finished lot, right? So there's trend number one that I like. Trend number two is, hey, there is a shortage of supply, especially affordable housing. Builders are really focusing on the average sales price for the builder that we're selling the lots to is $425,000. There is what do we always say? Stay at or below the median price, even if you're fixing and flipping. That's where you're safe, right? So we're developing product that goes there. Now, is there other risks? Sure. But you know what's crazy is, you know how much work I've done on this deal? Very little. Very, very. I've actually probably inserted myself more just so I can learn and understand. And I do way more work on a fix and flip deal. And I have to sit down and look at, sometimes it feels like we're taking the 8 to 10 people that are involved in a transaction, my contractors, my subcontractors, the buyer's agent, the lender, the title company, the escrow, all those people. We got to put all those people on our back, drag everybody across the finish line to make $30,000. And then we could go over there, and have you ever heard like larger developers or investors say like doing a big commercial deal is the same as doing another deal, there's just another zero or two zeros? Has anybody ever heard that, right? And this has been proven to be true to me on the larger deals that we've done. It's actually, in some aspects, it's easier and it's less work. And so all of those things I say to say, if you're going to try one of these big opportunities, make sure that these big things are stacked in your favor, right? Do some homework and legwork and stuff if you're gonna do that to make sure it's stacked in your favor, and then just go and don't worry about it, guys, right? Like, I used to be a really big worrier. I used to keep myself, I was very pessimistic. I grew up being very pessimistic, and I was always like, man, with my luck, this is probably never gonna work out. And you know what? That worst case scenario, do you know how many times that happens? Like 1% of the time, dude. And most of us just manufacture all of this stress and this anxiety, and we're thinking like, oh my God, what happens if this and what happens if that? And that never happens. It literally never happens, right? And you can start telling yourself, what if the best case scenario happens to me, right? Watch what happens when you change the tape in your mind that's running and saying, man, dude, if I do all of the work and I set everything up the right way, why shouldn't I expect something good to happen? And then that tape replays over and over in your head. Man, you do that for a year, your life will look and feel completely different. You do that in 10 years, and you can have some of these really cool outcomes that we're having right now.
Okay, just going to make sure that the mic was back on. Yeah, no, definitely echo the point you made a second ago, especially like when Adrian had talked about it, and Fred a little bit earlier today. And the other question was going to be, when you were mentioning like in 10 years, in terms of like where you were to where you are now, as far as like a sort of long-term plan or vision, just kind of where do you see if you've already kind of mapped out, or if you've got like plans for the next 10 years.
I would like to build, I'm going to build the biggest land development company of single family residential houses in Central California. That's my goal and vision right now. So I want to run that in tandem. And so here's what happens, dude. You see how I almost hesitated? I almost didn't say that because I was like, shit, dude, I don't even know if I really want to say that in front of all you people. I don't know if I want to say that on camera. And then what I always say to myself is, you have to have the courage to say the thing that you want to say. And even then, I kind of like paused a little bit and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to say it. And then whatever happened. And so that's my goal, dude. So like when I'm sitting down, writing down my goals and I'm affirming my goals, I'm casting this really big vision. And that was a seed that was planted into my head recently. I'm writing it down every day. And when you hold yourself accountable publicly, that's what we talk about taking that next step, and then the path illuminates and having faith in your business. It's those type of things that you have to do. And it doesn't come from a place, man, of being like, oh my God, look at all this stuff that I'm doing. It's just, this is what I want to do, and I believe that I can do it, so I'm going to share that with you guys, and I want you guys to hold me accountable. When you see me here next year, right, ask me about how that vision is going, because when you make a promise, you're more likely to keep a promise to somebody else than you are to keep a promise to yourself. And as sad as that is, when you make commitments to other, that extra accountability a lot of times gives us the little extra juice that we need to dig deep when we need to, man. So that's my 10-year goal.
Okay, and then just really to add on to that, just really quick, because as you were mentioning that, one of the things I was thinking about is like when you have like those really long-term goals, like, you know, not necessarily in terms of the path or the route, like you were saying, it'll eventually illuminate itself, but be fixed on that goal, that 10-year goal, so you like know where you want to go, but you know, allow the process to basically kind of take you there. So
that's a really good point, dude. You have a goal, and you understand what it is, and you be open to all of the different things that get you to that goal. When you try to force it down one way or another, or whatever you think your way should be, that usually has not worked out for me. So vision casting is have clarity and an idea about what the goal is, set a time on it, and then just walk the path every single day, and you will eventually get there somehow, some shape or form, man.
Last 2 questions.
I'll make it quick. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Nice to meet you again.
Yes,
in the
that's
back,
right.
Man.
Yeah.
So my question for you is more about business relations. I just started a general contracting company.
Okay.
And I have a partner with it. And I wanted to ask you, what was the first key hire that you and Jen made when you guys started your company? And was it VA or local?
It was a VA, and then it was local. It was, both of those hires were for administrative / entry-level operational type positions. So it's the stuff that sucks up a lot of your time, but doesn't like really move the needle quickly in your business, if that makes sense. And at the beginning, you got to wear all of those hats, right? So this is like bookkeeping, or you know, for us, there was some project management and rentals and filing of paperwork and organizing and structuring, a lot of the stuff that you have to do, but it doesn't make sense for you as the business owner or operator to do it. And we've had virtual assistants for, you know, 7-8 years, I guess at this point now. They're really, really high leverage hires as far as like finding tasks that are duplicatable and repeatable, that can be done from a phone or computer. Trust me, most of the VAs out there will be better than you at doing those tasks. And you can hire really good VAs in the Philippines we usually start at $5 to $6 an hour, and our top ones make $8 to $10 an hour plus bonus, and that's a lot of money for them in the Philippines. They're very happy. We actually flew out to visit our virtual team in Manila a couple years ago, and we had a discussion with them, and here's one of the things sometimes people struggle with. Well, can the VA really do this? And can a VA do that? And you know who hires all virtual team members? Netflix, US Bank, United Healthcare. If they're good enough for all those big companies, they're probably good enough to work in your real estate business, if that makes sense, right? So don't overcomplicate that piece of it. And if you need help with resources for finding VAs, reach out to me, dude. I'm happy to help out. We have lots of different stuff because we're constantly looking for people on our team.
I'll chat with you after.
For
Thank
sure.
you.
Yep.
Hello, sir. It's Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
And so I'm here to offer you some accountability, maybe.
Yes.
I chatted
I'm
with
here
your
for it.
wife and your family yesterday. They were very helpful. she told me I probably wanted to come talk to you, but I just want to put you on the spot in front of everybody.
Tell me, I'm here for it.
So what I'm actually asking from you is whether if maybe in about 2 years, if you would allow me to fly out from Savannah to come oversee what you're learning.
Sure.
Like
you don't
I
have to wait. You
mentioned-
can come out whenever you want. You don't
Okay,
have to
well,
wait. Yeah.
that might, 2 years might work for me, but I mentioned yesterday my husband and I have access to some aired land. I may have to pay for it.
Okay.
It just depends. I'm not sure. We've got some things in the works now, and I want to actually build. I don't want to sell it. I want to keep it.
Okay.
Because it's a very, very long history, probably 150 years old of history from his family. And so I just want to do right by it, but I need to learn from someone, and you're the second person that I know. So I need as many people that can help me with understanding land development.
I'm an open book. I've always prided myself on being an open book. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm an expert in land development, but I'm not. But I will share everything that I know openly and freely. And you don't have to wait 2 years. So if something as special is happening in 2 years, I'll be here in 2 years.
All right.
Or if you want to jump on a call or discuss or do something even before that, I'm happy to do that too.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, do you see why he's on the Mount Rushmore of real estate investors? Am I what? Just crazy, right? Clap it up. Look at that, huh?
Jen and I got matching.
There's right. Husband and wife duo there. Very, very cool. Jason, closing thoughts or anything? You're good?
Oh, man, I love it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming down. Thank you for coming. All right, couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, have you guys seen all the video guys running around doing all kinds of stuff? Brandon, I don't see Brandon, the light's in my eyes. There he is. Something I didn't do last year, I did make it right after the fact, is I did deliver a belt to him and his father. But I wanted to make sure we did this on camera. Deliver the ring. Sorry. There you go.
Wow. Thank you, Zuber. Thank you. Oh. Honestly, I just want to say, like, this community that Zuber has built, getting to know everybody, what our team's producing for him, and the podcasts that we got to produce, is just, this is something special. And we film a lot of events, but what he's doing here is providing so much incredible value to every single one of you. And it's just an honor to be a part of your guys' community. So thank you.
This is a special case where the ring will spin. You just got to put a battery on it. I figured you'd like that. I like that. All right, where's my lovely wife? Here she is. She's coming to the stage. So this is what you want to do? Go ahead.
Hang on.
Oh, all right. I have no idea.
Don't rush it. Do you guys all have a good time? Yeah? Learn something? Should we do it again next year? Yeah! Good. So we're talking about it at lunchtime, and Michael said, do you want to do it again next year? I was like, I don't know, so much work. And he was like, then I was like, do you have fun? He said, yeah. I said, do you really have fun? Yes. So I think, well, let's ask the audience if they want to come again next year. And, so sounds like a thumbs up, right? So before we end today, I don't have a lot to contribute to the real estate stuff because you guys all know more about real estate than I do. Because after watching, millions of hours of videos as with this guy, with Millennial Mike and, Lumberjack and Dion and all these people, Sarah, who else? Dana, Casey, all the millionaires. You know more than I do, so I don't need to give you more advice. But there are a couple of things I'm very passionate about is ethics. So when you encounter an ethical conundrum during your daily life, please do the right thing. Don't take advantage of the vulnerable population, okay? That's just my advice. Second thing is, please help the ladies in your life to be financially independent. help them to be financially independent. Because who knows what's going to happen to you one day, right? Could be anything. And if they're financially free, they will not fall into a vulnerable situation and be taken advantage of. Because remember, these are the people that take care of the kids, and they're our future. Okay, thank you so much for coming. And you guys just awesome and great. The best community I have ever been in. The best, I mean, I'm not kidding. I've been to a lot of real estate events and I'm done with this. But this is one of the best places to be at. So many people came up to me and say, you know what? Michael did so much for us. And he's giving us all the advice and all the help. And I was like, great, thank you. I'll give him a pat on the back. And here it is. Here it is. He's waiting for this.
I got my own belt. Yeah. So hopefully you guys know me by now that I wouldn't. So I knew she was going to give this to me, right? I knew that. There you go. But she doesn't know what's coming next. I'm not done. She's been around for 30 plus years. She gets the belt and the ring.
But you know, you guys are the reason we're here, right? You're just awesome. And I think this is a celebration for you all. We're here to celebrate you, really. Not, you know, and all the great speakers that participate. And we have so many people that helps out. Kenny and Jen, Jennifer. Yeah, long list of people. I cannot just name everybody. Carlos, Martha, and just so many amazing people just volunteer and just, you know, they just start doing the work. I mean, I didn't even ask them. They're not asked. They just come up and say, hey, can I help? And can I do this? Ty, you know, they came early to help move all the stuff. Just everybody came together to make this happen. Thank you, everybody.